Hey guys, it's quote unquote your boy, Ballface8020, back again with another great response video. In this video, we're responding to Casey and his brother Cole, talking about how you can crush beta male conditioning and hone masculine frame. Let's get into it.
Uncle Seaman, back in the retention.
Alright, we gotta focus here. I'm gonna keep a lot of that in. What do you think looks more stocky? Probably me. One of those big daddy delts.
Oh God.
Alright. Oh, I gotta clap my hands. Uncle C, back in the office, and in today's video, Cole and I, for those of you who don't know Cole, this is Cole. Cole is my brother. He also has his channel. I have a link below. Might as well sauce you some clout. You look like you need it.
Be nice.
Anyways.
Casey, shouldn't be drinking that root beer. What happened to eating clean?
Today, the kings in the arena.
Oh, by the way, A&W root beer sucks. If you want to drink root beer, drink Barks. That's the only kind of root beer that's any good. If the root beer, caffeine, you really need caffeine to make root beer work. Otherwise, it just tastes like shit. And if you drink root beer without caffeine, you'll actually go to hell.
Of MBT over here, which is aka me and aka Cole, the kings in the arena,
oh my God,
are going to be discussing, going to be telling, going to be explaining, going to be showing you exactly why the people who you either idolize, the men who you wish you could be, are not natural born alphas, no matter how much you think they are.
Completely false. This is self-explanatory. It's actually the other way around. There are no made alphas. There are alphas who grew into it. I have seen that. I absolutely have seen that. But there are I've never seen somebody make themselves into an alpha. The closest I can think to is somebody like Casey, who was beta before his quote-unquote transformation and is beta after. Because alpha does not necessarily mean most attractive to women. Women aren't necessarily looking for the most alpha guy. Alpha is, about dominance. It's not and then there's also, you can be alpha with women and beta with men. Or not actually, no, you really can't. But you can be alpha with men and beta with women. That's definitely true. Hitler was definitely like that. Yeah.
Now, there are so many areas that we could talk about with this, and the reason why I think that this video is ultimately...
Well, no, there are 0 areas we could talk about it because it's not true. So how could you have multiple areas to talk about something that's false, that doesn't exist? That doesn't make any sense.
Important is because there's so many men locked into the identity thinking that who they are is fixed.
Who you are is... What do you mean by who you are? In Buddhism, say that, it's often what we do is we identify with the 5 aggregates, which are physical forms, thoughts, and those could be like things like memories and stuff, consciousness, inclinations, stuff you like and dislike, and I don't remember. There was one other one. I should have looked it up before I did it. So you take those things away, then what are you? Like, is it still you at all? And, so in Buddhism, one thing is really to teach you, not that you don't exist, although that's often how it's interpreted, but rather you shouldn't identify yourself with these ever-changing, unfixed characteristics. Because because doing that while it's natural doesn't actually make sense when you think about it. But he's saying, like, so the sort of emergent self of, those 5 aggregates, your memories likely aren't going to change. So you're going to have those same memories, whatever it wants. You can change your thought patterns. I guess you can do that. But your physical form, which I would include like your intelligence level, that is not going to meaningfully change. You can optimize it, but you're not going to really change it. and personality and stuff. Um, can it be changed? Again, to an extent, you can maybe quote unquote optimize it like Casey has. I would dispute that his personality has been optimized. I think he's made it worse. But you can change it a little bit around the edges, but there's always going to be, I mean, barring a brain injury, which will make it worse, you're not going to dramatically change your personality because your neural wiring at a certain age, and I don't know what that age is going to be largely fixed. Um, so there's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can do, and I guess that's part of the black pill. But say like is realizing that a lot of these things are unchangeable. I guess black pillars would just. Well, I think a lot of black pillars would say, oh, you can change personality. It just doesn't matter because women in society don't care about it. And we can debate till the end of time, how much women in society care about personality. But I would really strongly dispute that you can meaningfully change personality in most cases. And I'm not even sure that's what Casey's referring to, but I think it is.
So, do you mind if I use your big old tubby picture from 14?
I'd rather you didn't.
I'm putting it up on the screen. Okay,
Yeah.
So this was Cole. Okay? You need to let this sink in for a second. Because the reason why a lot of men don't have the results with women that they want is due to the fact that they have no dedication and they have no sacrifice.
No, false. False, completely false. How is dedication and sacrifice going to make you any more attractive to women? So Cole, I mean, Casey's already said in another video that Cole is the one who gets approached in the bars. Not Casey, who spent all that work, on his masculine frame. Cole, before he was even, in MBT or whatever, women would approach Cole because, he's got that tall, strong phenotype. And so let's say Cole didn't even lift. Let's say he was still a fat slob. You'd have the same result. We all know it. Women would still have approached him because women don't really care about that shit. What attracts them to a guy like Cole is that he's got that strong, silent type look. Does that do it for every woman? No. Does it do it for a lot of women, especially the kind of women who go in to pick up guys at bars? Yes. In fact, more aggressive women who are going to be more aggressive and pursue guys, those types of women are going to gravitate towards the more stronger type guys, like the taller, stronger looking type guys. And Cole, whatever you think about him, really does have this strong, silent type thing going on. He doesn't radiate insecurity the way that Casey does, even though I think Casey's face is noticeably better. So to say that Cole, whatever changes Cole has made, by working with Casey, they can be good, bad, or neutral, but none of them made him more attractive to women. And to say that they did is to, first of all, it's a huge violation of the black pill. And if it violates the black pill, it means that it's not in touch with reality, because that's ultimately what it's about, or that's what the black pill is supposed to be about. Maybe in practice it's not, but the black pill is supposed to be about reality. Maybe some people get away from that, but that's what it's about, and Casey is violating it right here, which is something he's certainly very good at.
And I know that it's extremely popular right now in the manosphere to say, hey, dedication can only get you so far, and if you chase success, it ultimately makes you beta in the long run, or ultimately, if that's all a woman is looking for, then she's loving you for the wrong things. I'm here to tell you that that's all bullshit.
Well, you kind of touched on a few different points there. Will chasing success make you beta? No, I've never even heard anybody say that, so I'm not sure what Casey's talking about. If a woman loves you for chasing success, does that mean she loves you for the wrong things? This is probably actually a somewhat interesting point. Because this is probably more of a black pilled idea, and I've certainly heard it said to me by more hardcore black pillars who will admit that status makes a difference, but they would say, well, yes, she can actually be attracted to you because of your status. They'll concede that. They'll concede that she actually is attracted to you because of your status, but they'll say, but then she's not really attracted to you at all. She's attracted to your status. The only way to really be loved or desired for who you are is for her to have pure physical attraction to you. And only top 20%, and really probably 10% or 5% of men are capable of generating that level of physical attraction in most women. So I'm not really sure that this is the right place to respond to that. It's an argument that I'm at least sympathetic with. I don't. I couldn't even say I agreed or disagree with it. It's more that I find it an oversimplification, but there's something to be said for it. And so, but I think that, well, yeah, like I just said, there's absolutely something to be said for it. So just to say it's BS like Casey just did is wrong. But what he said before that about like what were we talking about again? Like self-improvement or something, whatever it is, or chasing success can only take you so far. Again, that's a fact. I could go lift weights and I could get bigger and stronger, but could I get to a point where I'm as strong as an average NFL offensive lineman? No. Not even with like all the steroids and stuff in the world, because there are limits. That's a fact, and anybody who tells you otherwise is living in la la land. And just like it would be, but weightlifting or strength is just an example. You could say that, you can say it for really anything you want to do. It's really never possible to say anybody can do anything they set their mind to. And then you end up with this situation where, I mean, first of all, you're selling guys false hope, and then you're telling them that, oh, those people who are telling you that you're not being realistic, those are just people who don't want to put the work in. So, it kind of like, it becomes this kind of cult that reinforces itself. And then when they don't achieve what was never possible in the first place, they inevitably blame themselves for not working hard enough. And it becomes this sort of endless cycle, a cycle that I've been in myself. Although I wouldn't really say I've ever been, I'm talking about when I used to lift weights. I wouldn't really say that I really blamed myself. I blamed my shitty health, but still.
And I'm here to tell you that there is no man on planet Earth that does great with dating, is high value, is great at what he does, or is ultimately loved and respected by women. There's ultimately no man on Earth that happened to by accident.
Yes, there is. I can think of at least 5 that I grew up with. Everybody watching this video can think of at least 5, unless they grew up in a really remote area. So, I like, was Casey homeschooled or something? Because I'm pretty sure I've seen in another video that he did go to school. I know Cole went to a normal school. So, like, does Casey actually believe this? Like, because he can't believe this, right? Yeah, I know Casey's delusional, but there's no way he can believe this. I mean, we've all seen it. Literally everybody has seen it. Even blue pillars would say that there's guys who, get just because they're so attractive that they've had women literally fall in love. Literally fall in love. I remember this one guy I was reading who was saying that he was so good looking when he was young that on his second day of coming into school on 7th grade, he opened his locker and there were multiple love letters from girls in it. He said that one friend of his cut him off as an adult because that friend's wife had fallen in love with him. And he said that, he really hadn't spoken to her even that much because she fell in love with his, because of his looks, like actually fell in love. So, Casey's done it before, but this may be the wrongest thing Casey's ever said, which is saying a lot.
Because men are made. Now, whether he wants to publicly
No, alphas are born, not made. It's total opposite. And this isn't an Eldar thing. I'm not saying lay down and rot. I'm not saying it's over. I'm not saying you can't improve. I'm not saying you shouldn't try to improve. I'm just saying that alpha, the one thing, if being an alpha male is what you want, I'm sorry, but the only if you could be an alpha, you'd be an alpha. It's you are or you aren't. It's basically the way to think of being an alpha is like being tall. Like you're not going to make if you're 5'10", you're not going to make yourself 6'5". You know, if you could be 6'5", you'd be 6'5". And it's the same thing with being an alpha male. It's just how it is.
Explain that transformative shift that he went through, whether he wants to publicly explain the journey of dedication and sacrifices that he went through to craft himself into who he is today or not is up to him, and most often than not, men keep quiet about it. But I'm here to tell you today that even if you look at my...
So basically what he's saying, and I know you guys probably followed and don't need me to explain it, but he's saying that no, all those Chads who it just looks like it's natural that women are just coming after them because of their looks. They're everything about them, their personality, their looks and stuff. That's all stuff that they have worked for. It didn't. They don't talk about it, but it's all stuff that they worked for. Again, this is filling in with like the most wrong thing that Casey has ever said. It's like a complete level of insanity. I mean, like weren't we like expressing disbelief that guy in the last video thought it was possible for him to raise his SMV by 4.5 points? What Casey just said is almost certainly worse. That's how delusional it is.
My before picture and who I was compared to who I am today. You can change. And alpha is not necessarily something that men are born with. Alpha is...
Yes, it is.
Ultimately something as to who you are, who you become, and what you identify as with your beliefs.
Your beliefs have nothing to do with whether you're alpha or not. Again, that would be like, again, I want to get back to this. That would be like saying being 6'5" has nothing to do with, genetics or anything. It has to do with, your beliefs and how you carry yourself. It's like, no. Being 6 foot, you're 6'5" because you're 6'5". You're 5'10" because you're 5'10". It's not anything else. Is just like a complete rejection of reality.
Cole, has there ever been a time when you thought that who you were was fixed? Like maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I know ultimately you saw me.
Cole, was there ever a time, like maybe before I started to brainwash you, where you saw the world at least somewhat how it actually was, and not as the complete dream world that I've built for myself and my delusional cult members?
Transform, and that led you to transforming and whatnot, but like,
what transforming? He was already tall, quiet, and in shape. How did he transform? He's exactly the same.
Can you give some insight? So I don't want.
Yeah, give me some talking time. Yeah, get off me. No.
Well, he did come out of his shell a little bit, but is it really fair to call that like a total transformation, or did he just get a little bit more comfortable in front of cameras and talking to people? Is it really fair to call that a transformation?
So, I mean, of course. I think every man in their life, at one point or another, thinks that this is just who I am.
Yes, every man at one point or another recognizes reality. Yes, I agree. That's true.
Like me and you talk about this a lot. It's... Hell, I've said this to you. Like, it's just who I am, Casey. This is just my personality. I'm quiet. I'm not very charismatic.
Yeah.
Yada, yada, yada. But the truth is, it can be...
Well, I'm not trying to be mean. You're still not very charismatic. The only reason you look charismatic is because you're next to Casey. And look, I mean, it's most people aren't charismatic. I actually do think he does have a little bit kind of a sort of an offbeat charisma. But really, the only charismatic Xander is the youngest sister. And it's not a credit to her, and it's not a detriment to these guys or their dad or whatever, or their other sister. It's just most people aren't very charismatic. It's not a big deal. I think Cole has a little bit of an offbeat charisma in his own way, But it's not a big deal. And can you develop charisma? No. No. Absolutely not. You have it or you don't. You can get better at certain skills, which will help reveal an underlying charisma that was always there, which is what I think Cole has done to a certain extent. But actual charisma, you have it or you don't. That's that.
Change, and I've realized that over these last couple of years.
Yeah, I'm gonna use a variety of different examples for all of you here. So, if you take a guy who looks really good, right? You take a guy who maybe he's chiseled to the bone and he has great muscular development. He has great muscular stature, and a lot of people would look at that guy and they would think, "Damn, like that guy, I'll never have genetics like that."
Yes, because they would be completely correct. Because very few guys, like less than 1%, have the ability to look like a young Reg Park, even with steroids. And Reg Park was natural, at least in the early part of his career. That's just true. But also another thing: one, women don't care about that. Two, I know what Hugh Casey's about to say. It's like, no, this guy put a lot of work into it and shit. Okay, first of all, that's not necessarily true. And I can show you pictures if you need them, of guys in primitive societies who are ripped like bodybuilders, not like a steroid bodybuilder, but like a natural bodybuilder who never touched a weight, who didn't even know what weights are, because that was just their genetics. They do exist, and some people are just built like that. I said the former football and basketball player Bo Jackson, actually, when he was born, the doctors were commenting like, wow, he looks like a bodybuilder. It was just his genetics. So and I've known guys like this. It's rare who just don't even lift, and it's not even just that they're big and strong. It's that they actually look like bodybuilders. So even something like definition and stuff, like, yes, you can hone it to a degree, depending on what genetic potential you have. But first of all, not everybody has a ton of potential for muscles and weightlifting. And so you have to also understand that some guys just naturally look that way. Again, not the norm, definitely exist. And there's plenty of examples of it.
I'll never have delts like that, right? I'll never have six-pack abs like that. I'll never have ab symmetry like that. They didn't see the four.
Yeah, well, how the fuck do you plan on fixing your ab symmetry, you weirdo? Like I like my ab symmetry is horrible. Not that it matters because I'm so fat you can't see my abs. But when you could, my ab symmetry, I had never had a six-pack. I had like a five-pack because my ab symmetry was so bad that like one ab was missing. That's like muscle attachments and stuff. That's completely genetic. Like barring surgery, which would be extremely dangerous, you're not going to change your attachments and things like symmetry. That's crazy talk.
4 or 5 years of dedication that guy had to go through in the gym to look that way. They didn't see.
No, that's the thing. Building big muscles, if you have even let's say you're not naturally super muscular, if you do have the potential to get big, you're gonna hit that genetic potential very quickly. Now, if you're like super overweight and it's the only way to lose the weight is to take years, that's one thing. But other than that, if you're just like normal amount overweight, you can reach your genetic potential for muscularity and physique well within a year. Presuming you stay healthy and train intelligently. 5 years, nah. I mean, you're gonna have extremely diminishing returns way before the end of your first year.
The late nights when maybe everybody's out drinking alcohol and he does intermittent fasting, so he's done eating by 7 o'clock. And
that's not going to make your muscles bigger, you moron. That will keep your body fat down. It's not going to build up the muscles. Everybody knows how to have a low body fat. Maybe they don't have the willpower to stick with it. That's something else. But we're talking about actually building the underlying musculature. That's what people have problems with. And intermittent fasting is not going to help with that, okay? It's not going to make a difference. It's not going to make you more muscular. I mean, okay, maybe it raises your testosterone levels by like 100 NGDL. That will have zero impact on the underlying musculature. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Not another calorie goes in his mouth after that. They didn't see Every single notebook session documented in the gym of
the notebook shit again. Go look at those fucking best physiques you're ever going to see are those male gymnasts, particularly the still ring specialists. Those guys are not using fucking notebooks, okay? They're just in the gym doing their thing. They don't even lift weights. What would they even keep in the notebooks? You know, there's this shit about the notebooks. Go look at the old time strongmen. The old time strongmen didn't even bother with progressive overload. They just lifted the same weights every single time. You don't know what you're talking about.
Progressive overload with his lifts or who he is. Okay? They didn't see that. What they see is who the guy is now on the exterior. And I want to let you in on a little secret. Perception, people will take your perception at whatever it is that you put in front of them. Same with women. You could get...
This is Casey. You know, some people study Aristotle and Plato, but a real masculine man studies the philosophy of Casey Zander, because this is the guy who's got it all figured out.
Blown out on approach by 20 women in a row, and the 21st woman is going to think that, oh, you're super charming. They didn't see the trials and tribulations, okay? So that's one example.
Okay, that one's true, coming from sales and stuff, because if you look at like live cold calls from sales, what do people put on? They put on the ones that worked. Because nobody's going to want to watch a video. Like, why would you even think to put on a video of the 9 people who are like, oh, sorry, we're not looking for a website right now? Because that's what it almost always is. Does that necessarily mean you should go and have the same attitude when it comes to approaching women? Well, that's kind of a different conversation, right? But he's right. He's right there, about from a sales perspective.
Example, we got the fitness example. Let's use a dating example. Especially because Cole and I don't know if you know this, explain your personality versus my personality, because Cole and I are actually polar opposites.
Whether you cook, clean, or construct, Next
Sorry, guys.
is dedicated to small business owners like you.
Shut up! Shut up!
Well, Casey's a lot more talkative than I am. Casey. Yeah. Casey's a lot more talkative than I am. He likes to talk. Whereas I'm a lot more...
Oh, really? I hadn't noticed.
...reserved for the most part. But the thing is, like, despite the personality differences, we've both been able to find what works for us. We both...
What, being, attractive? Being young and attractive? Or in your case, being young, and 6'2". That's worked well for you guys. I'm good. I'm all for it, but that's what's worked for you guys. Nothing else.
We both have been able to figure out the way to speak.
Right. So
that actually works really well when it comes to dating.
Okay, the way you speak is fine because you're working around your own. Communication obviously is something that you're just not comfortable with. I get that, and it's admirable the way that you've learned how to work around your limitations, which is something that I've always been really interested in, is not like, being delusional and saying I can do anything, but at the same time not being like lay down and rot. I've always been really impressed and interested with people who accepted their limitations and learned how to work with and around them. I always thought that was really cool. And in that sense, I'm impressed with what Cole has done. I don't really feel like that's Casey's message at all, though.
Let me chime in on that. So when I looped back in this video to fixed identity, who you think you are versus who you can become, we use the fitness example and the trials and tribulations of the 10,000 hours that guy had to put in. But let's now compare you.
The 10,000 hours. This guy is seriously talking about the Malcolm Gladwell thing. That was like 15 years ago, and it was retarded then.
And I for a second with personality. So when it comes to game and talking to women, using our words for seduction purposes, okay, let's just cut it at that. I'm far better than you just as a natural. Like, that clicked for me a lot quicker than it clicked for Cole. But most people would look at Cole and notice how when you said, hey, I'm shy, I'm introverted, I'm reserved, I can't change, you feel as if you're stuck, correct? And what happens when you actually improve those things that you didn't identify with?
Well, those things change.
Those things change. So who you are is not fixed. Who you are.
Okay, I can't take any more of this right now. I might do the rest of the video later. I've noticed this first, this a little bit of what he's talking about in sales. You know, some stuff that I thought I absolutely could. I know I've talked about this before, that I absolutely could not do, like cold calling and things like that, and learning how to say no to people and stuff. Those are things that I just felt like they didn't come natural to me. They were unpleasant. I couldn't do them. Um, and those are all skills I was able to gain with experience. Um, but I don't feel like it's changed who I am. Um, you know, I really don't. I think that that would be, unless you're just saying that any change is fun. Is I mean, it hasn't made me. Again, go watch Jeb Blount. Go watch Benjamin Dennehy. Those the sales trainers who are natural salesmen. They're both. I'm not saying they're not great salesmen. I'm the great sales trainers. They are, but they're also natural salesmen. Um, I don't talk or sell like those guys at all. That's never going to happen, even if I was willing to put in the effort. That will I'm just not those guys. Period. Um, but I've been able to, again, like I said, work around the limitations I do have, and the and build skills around those limitations. I haven't changed who I am. So I don't know if Casey's just being completely delusional or we're just talking about different things. That's all for now, and I'll see you in the next.